Hello.
Hello.
Yoo-hoo! Oh dear. Are we all
It's us
well?
again.
It is. It
Yeah,
is. It's us. We're here.
to
Oh dear.
intellectual.
Yeah, we're here to do a natter. So,
We
Yeah,
are.
yes, feel free to natter in the comments and we'll pick the comments up and we'll just go with the flow and see
that's
where this evening takes us. Um, apparently, that's weird. I'm commenting as the Rainbow Project, but then somebody's replied and it says commented on by Tony Swindle's Medium.
all right.
Because on my little screen I've got the Facebook, the back end of Facebook where we're broadcasting into, and it's Rainbow Project comments that are going up, but underneath it says commented on by Tony Swindle's Medium.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay, fine.
Right.
let me know.
Are you feeling better, Helen? Says James.
I am, thank you, James. Yes, I'm feeling much better. I think I've still got a bit of a dodgy stomach. But yeah, I'm feeling much better. And I've been back to work, been working from home today. So thank you.
Okay. And evening, Jason.
Hiya, Jason.
Hi, Jason.
Oh dear. From Spectrum Rainbow Community in Doncaster. Interesting.
Mm.
Yes. I've not come across that one before. The Spectrum
Yeah,
Rainbow Community.
Jason's just recently started it up.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Mhm.
Cool. That's good. That's good.
So yeah.
Right. Well, we just thought, like we said, we would bob on and natter like we usually do, and see if there were any topics that you as a community out there are wanting to raise or talk about or have information on. If not, then we'll all just sit happily having a cup of tea and talk about Coronation Street. Not that I watch it, or
Oh.
EastEnders. Not that I watch it, or
Well, I've watched it for about 10 years, so yeah.
No. Well,
Fine.
somebody asked me the other week which camp I was in. Was I EastEnders? Was I Coronation Street? Was I Emmerdale? And I was like, I don't watch any.
Yeah.
I haven't watched
I don't watch.
EastEnders since Den and Angie were in it.
Oh gosh, no, I'm a bit more recent
Yeah,
than
but
that. I think
was
last
that
time
the second time round for Den? Because he did come back
Oh,
from dead.
he did for a little while.
well,
Yeah,
so I believe, but no, it was the first time round.
isn't he
Right,
in
yeah.
under the new basement of the pub now?
Oh,
Yeah, I
no
think
idea.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the last time I watched EastEnders, Mark Fowler had just died. Pauline had just had a letter saying Mark had died.
Yeah, I'm going to say, well, it must have been a Christmas special where Den were divorcing Angie. We got to that letter. That was the last time I watched it.
Yeah.
But as for under the basement in the Queen Vic. Queen Vic.
Mm.
Who's not under that basement?
Well, yes, precisely. But yes, guys, if you wouldn't mind and you feel able to share the feed just so other people could join in if they want to, that would be lovely. If you don't feel you can, that's fine as well, obviously. One thing I did want to talk about while Helen was on, because of course, always down there underneath of all things, that I was trying to explain to somebody the other day the difference between your biologically determined sex and your gender identity. And they were having a real problem wrapping the head around, but what's the difference? And I said, well, one is you're born with, you can be born with, but you may not feel, oh, right. Can anybody else see that comment from
Yes, I
YouTube?
can. Yeah.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
As long as it's not just me.
Yeah.
We don't want that sort of.
No, have you dealt with it, or do you want me to?
I'll bob into YouTube and remove it.
Yes.
Oh, he's blocked.
Yes, I've just done it.
All right, okay, that's okay then.
No, I can't see any comments.
Yeah,
I think it's not okay. Yeah, it was.
yeah, that's
the
all
wrong
right.
place, the wrong time.
Anyway, yeah. So what's I saying before?
So
I
we're
noticed
talking about biological sex,
Yes, yes.
gender
I mean,
identity.
obviously, I'm aware of it from a parent's point of view that Ben was born with a female body when he was a baby, but Ben was never a female. All the time growing up, you could see there was nothing feminine about him at all. So that's how I described it to them and said, it was like there was this little boy trapped inside this shell that just didn't fit. And so it was just a case of, well, it was a bit like being born with an extra arm and surgery can put it right. And they were still struggling with it. So I thought, if we could do a bit about that, because then other people might be struggling as well on the feed and things.
Yeah, I think some people do struggle with this concept. And, when a person's born, the doctor or whoever, midwife, whoever it happens to be, takes one look and determines somebody's sex by, looking at what's between the legs.
Yeah.
But that's not always the best way. And, that's this assigned female at birth or assigned male at birth. But that doesn't denote necessarily who a person is.
No, not at all.
But I was assigned male at birth, but never ever identified with that.
No,
it took me plenty of years to realise that.
Yeah, and I mean the thing is, it's not assigned at birth now, is it? Though, because you have a scan at however many weeks, and it's and then we have these gender reveal parties, and it's like, for goodness sake, the child's not even here yet.
Yeah.
Give us a chance,
We're not. So listen, I'll just say this for these people out there: we are not America, folks. We are Britain. We don't do.
Yeah, it's just not good. It's really not good. I mean, good grief.
But however, I have seen people who have had gender reveal parties for when their child has come out, and I think that's quite sweet.
That's nice. Yeah, I think that will be good.
Yeah,
I think that will be good. Yeah, I like that. Let's have reveal parties for people.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something we could do once we're all sorted out. Yeah.
Yeah, possibly, but it's a bit too late for me, I'm afraid. I've already revealed myself.
No, we can do a retrospective.
Retrospective one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm here.
Confirmation. Yeah. We can do it afterwards. Yeah.
I mean, it's years since I come out of the closet, but there you go.
Yeah. Definitely.
But yeah, I think so one of the things that gets thrown around and bandied around quite a lot about the biological sex concept, and that's things about the chromosomes idea, but in actual fact, the chromosomes have no bearing on a person's gender. They've been proven by science that they have no bearing. You can get, all sorts of variations of your chromosomes.
Yeah, you can.
What medical reasons, Sister Dear? Do you care to expand on that?
I know.
I think she's meaning in neuro. I don't think she's meaning like post birth.
No. I know a lady that my mum worked with. Her daughter had to have scans because she couldn't carry male fetuses beyond 28 weeks. So they tried to scan as early as they could to see what gender the fetus was prior, to see if they needed to have any intervention. But that's, I would imagine that's quite rare. That's quite a rare occurrence.
I imagine that. I mean, I have to admit my knowledge of scans and at what stage you can determine a person's gender through ultrasound is quite limited. But I would have thought that's a little bit early to be even able to tell that, and not 100% accurate. Happy for anybody to correct me if anybody does actually know.
When she was pregnant with Ash, there was a heart condition passed down through her father's side, which affected males. Oh, right, yeah. Okay, I'm with you. I'm with you there.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough, sis. Fair enough.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. She made it past infancy because we didn't kill her.
Yeah, I would say I think Ash is definitely alive and well.
Yeah. Yeah, little sweetheart. Sorry, I love her.
Oh, I quite like that, Miles. Why not say the baby has male/female reproductive organs and not assign the gender of birth and allow them to choose when they're ready?
Yeah. It's far easier to say, congratulations, you have a healthy baby.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think there's a lot in that, Miles, actually, to let a child decide for themselves when they're when they're able to do that. And children do have a sense of selves from quite an early age.
Yeah.
I found out the gender of my princess at 13 weeks. I was having problems and needed an emergency scan, which was done internally, and that's how they could tell me what the gender was. Bless. Bless.
Yeah, I think.
Which princess do Anne-Marie? You've Jess or Amber?
Could be either. Yeah.
Could be either.
Yeah.
Amber,
I think
Amber. Thinking about it, Amber.
Yeah.
Or even Billy.
Yeah. No, it was Amber.
It was Amber. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, but yeah.
But yeah,
Did you eat pizza when you got home, Anne-Marie?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a week for fighting and arguing point on chromosomes and
chromosomes. Yeah, it's all been a bit strange.
Yeah,
I mean, for me,
this buzzword.
Yeah, I just don't understand why anybody feels it necessary to comment, because Helen's transition hasn't really impacted my life, other than Helen's chair of the Rainbow Project, and didn't have a great bearing on my life up to the point that I met you, Helen. So unless it is really going to cause you some serious disruption, live and let live. Let people be people.
Exactly, and I think that's just the thing. Into so many people get het up about this situation, and the so-called trans agenda and things like that. There isn't an agenda. All we want
No.
as trans people is to be able to live as lives in peace.
Yeah.
We don't need to be having a constant battle with people about our identity.
No.
You know, we are who we are.
And I mean, to be honest, if I went up to Claire's and David, Michael, or Daisy came down and said, "Hi, Tony, I'm a penguin." Okay,
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Why not? You know, it doesn't matter. We're all separate human beings living together on this planet, and let's rub along as nicely as we can. Otherwise, it's going to be a nightmare. So why can't we just live and let live and let people get on with being who they need to be?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think we've got these turfs in the world. Let them get on with it. You know.
Well, I think the only good place for turf is laid out on the grass, on the mud, growing nicely, and mow it every few weeks to keep it short.
Yeah.
And away, you know.
But I would have thought, laid out like say on a nice lawn and let your dog pee all over it. But there you go, turned brown then.
Yeah. I'm sure Anne Marie could find space for a few.
Yeah. Sure she could. Yeah.
Yeah. Anne Marie, what other people's gender is has nothing to do with anybody. Why should anybody have the right to dictate to anybody what gender they should or should not be? Every human has the right to be who they need and want to be.
Exactly.
Hello, Sam.
Yeah.
At
He
least
was
he's not
interested.
snoring.
Well, yeah, that is very good. Yeah, we're doing
He
well.
was interested, and now he's not.
No, somebody's just opened the fridge behind me, so the farmer
Yeah, so he's got more important things to deal with.
Yeah.
Walking up for potential food.
Yeah,
I think that is quite nice, Anne Marie. That actually,
it is because it's true. It's let people be what they need to be. It makes no difference, and what. See, I'm off on one now. Claire, you've got the soapbox out, and I'm standing well and truly on it.
It wasn't me.
Well, no, it was me, actually. I remember right back at the conversation, start of the conversation. Yeah. No, the thing that always infuriates me is they'll say, well, it's all these people who are sex offenders and they want to just put a dress on and go into women's changing rooms to assault people. Well,
no.
Show me the statistics.
There is none.
Yeah.
Show me the statistics. And the other thing is, okay, right. So everybody, you are saying that everybody who was born.
Let me just ask a question there. You say these here men want to put sex offenders, men want to put a dress on and go into women's spaces to commit sex offences.
Yeah.
Why on earth would they want to do that? Well, when there's a high probability of actually being caught doing that. If a sex offender, most sex offenders are known to the victims.
Yeah.
And if it was actually a stranger sex attack, then it's not going to happen in a changing room or a toilet or anywhere else like that where the chances of being caught is really high. It's going to happen somewhere quite remote where the chances of being caught are quite minimum. And they ain't going to be wearing a dress when they're doing it neither.
No, when Peter Sutcliffe was doing his rounds as the Yorkshire Ripper, how many of his victims were found in Marks and Spencer's changing rooms or, the ladies' toilets in, British Home Stores or Meadowhall? It wasn't.
This is the thing, isn't it? Because even now, the furore around this perception that trans people are some sort of predator has now kind of backfired on the people who are spreading this rumor, to the point that some butch lesbians are now starting to be challenged in going to the toilet when the cis female butch lesbians
Yeah.
because they're perceived to be
Or very tall, broad women. Yeah.
Yeah.
Straight women who are
yeah
5'10", 11 and quite
yeah
broad. But and it's when you throw out things like, okay, so, and I'm sorry, Helen, I have used you as an example. My
okay
friend Helen has fully transitioned, has been fully transitioned for years. What's she going to go into a changing room and rape somebody with exactly? She'd have to dig it out of a medical waste bag somewhere. And,
sorry, went to the pedigree chum factory. It's somewhere
Yes.
some dog food. It's probably in somewhere putting somebody's compost heap by now. It's gone through the dog and out the other end, and been scooped up in a little doggy bag, and
but some of
God knows
Ben's
where it is
friends
now.
online who have gone female to male are now fully transitioned. So what you're saying is Helen can't be in your female-only space, but they can. Those fully transitioned males have
What?
to
They
go
don't
back in.
exist.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? You get no response when you put things like that into chats or you throw that out at somebody. Nothing.
No, it's a great way of stopping the conversation because it just doesn't fit the narrative.
No.
No.
Hang on.
It is a narrative.
Another guest sat
Ooh.
backstage. Everybody, welcome. How are you, dear?
Hi.
Can
I
you
like
hear
your
me?
jumper.
Born to the purple. Hello, my
Yes.
lovelies. How are we?
We are
Okay.
fine. We were just discussing the difference between biology and psychology when it comes to and the fact that Helen should not be allowed in female-only spaces, and yet some of Ben's friends who are fully transitioned males can be. Because there's been a little bit of hoo-ha about things and discussions going off, and we thought we would try and put it out there.
I wasn't aware of anything going on like that at all.
No. But yeah, and my husband, who is not here to start the conversation himself, is always getting people
It
up on his high horse.
It was what 11 minutes past 4 this morning, and he was arguing with somebody.
Don't tell me that,
surprise.
because it's me snoring that stops him sleeping, not.
Oops.
Yeah.
And it wasn't me that was keeping him awake, because at this point I'd gone into the back bedroom out of the way.
Yeah.
He's at university, James. He's at university and he is doing, I think it's a masterclass at this point. So, yes. Oh, hello. Nick's mummy's on.
Hello, mother dear.
Hello, Mummy Brown. Angela Atkinson said she's taught equality, diversity and inclusion today to students in college.
Fantastic.
Well done, you, Angela.
Brilliant.
Yes. And I think the big takeaway...
Did that include about trans and LGBT rights at all, Angela, at all?
I should have asked that question and I didn't.
Good question.
Yes.
And quite often EGI concentrates on the BAME community, not so much on the LGBT community.
Good point. Good point. But I think the big takeaway we tried to give people from this discussion was, Nick, what impact has Helen's transition had on my life up to the point I met her? None.
Yeah. It is and will be for a long time based on historical experience of the LGBTQI plus community. It's going to be a very divisive, separating and difficult debate. What I will say is, once again, for every argument, there's a counter argument. One of the arguments regarding attacks and abuse, I understand and appreciate it as a valid concern. However, it's a valid concern for personal safety. But what difference is it as to what somebody feels within themselves and dresses with them in themselves in comparison to gender? Than if they just go out and do it anyway, because it doesn't matter what they look like, feel like, sound like, dress like, or have been surgically altered to look like. A darkness in the soul is a darkness in the soul, and that should be dealt with as an issue of exactly that. So I can't see how that can be an argument, considering, it's
great,
only
Angela.
50, 60 years ago that I could have been put in prison for the fact that I live with a man downstairs.
Yeah.
And
Why do you keep him downstairs, Nick?
He don't want to be up here listening to me droning on. He gets bored enough of that as it is. But no, I mean, seriously, there are so many arguments that get thrown, and some of them just make me, frankly, between E and G, sick. And it just, as a spiritualist, as a Christian spiritualist, I believe that everyone is equal. Everyone has the right to live their life free from hassle and stress and pain. And to segregate any type or group of people is counter to that, full stop. I have no right to judge anyone. Doesn't mean to say that I won't speak my truth. But I will always do it in a way that is respectful, polite, and friendly, and accepting that other people have the right to their truths as well. And I truly believe that and stand by that. But it doesn't mean to say that I'll keep my gob shut for very long.
No, that's my point, Nick. Whenever I'm faced with something like this, I always think, but what would I do if somebody came to me and said, I need help and guidance because I feel like my outside doesn't match my inside? What would I do? What would I say to that person? As a minister, regardless of denomination, as a minister of that which we call divine, God, Father, whatever we want to call the divine, as a spokesperson for that entity, what do you say? I would have to say, how can we make it better?
Yeah.
Surely it should all be love all spirits equally.
Well, yeah.
Now, actually,
that brought me back to something I was going to say. Actually, on our spiritualism in principle, it was something that Nick read out because he needed to prepare what he needed to say, and it was that when we return to spirit, there is no gender. So perhaps those of us on the planet who don't see gender, because I don't, I see people, are living our truth.
I mean, exactly.
Yeah. I think
one of the arguments that gets thrown out is that gender is a social construct. Well, in that case, why start bitching about biology? Sorry, but it's got to be said.
Yeah. I made that point exactly the other day.
Frankly, it's not. I'll go back to that again as a reference because I understand it personally with detail. It's not too long ago that I was accused of being a godless freak of nature that would burn in hell. Because of who I fall in love with and because of what I know is me inside. And, frankly, the world has moved on a little bit since then. Not much, not enough, certainly. But one of the constant, comments is about, being gay is not natural, people tend to then, who have jumped on board and defended us and helped us and shown other people the truth, is that you can look in nature and find, same-sex attraction, same-sex interactions, shall we say, putting it politely.
And it's the same with gender as well.
Absolutely, because all I ever say these days is just don't ask the seahorses or the frogs then. Because seahorses, male seahorses, are the ones that carry the children and give birth. And if you come across a pond of frogs where they're all male, one or two of them will hop across the gender. And one of the other things, as me as an individual member of ministry, because I am an individual member of ministry now at the moment, you've got to fight for what you believe at the end of the day. And if you disagree with something, you have to walk away. But the point is, truly, 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 when it comes to the religious aspect, many people throw in my face, God doesn't make mistakes. And no, God doesn't make mistakes. But if that's the case, then why was I born a man who loves a man? And it's no different. It is no different whatsoever, because we are talking about emotional and spiritual and feeling. And you know what? If I'm wearing my purple jumper right now, if I don't feel comfortable, I'll take the bloody thing off. It's as simple as that. And I find anyone who uses the teachings of an all-loving, all-inclusive God to segregate and separate, then it's just wrong. And anyone who uses science to do the same is wrong, because if you're going to use science to fight your corner, make sure science totally agrees with you. Or as it was put on a program I watched the other day, Tony will know which one I'm talking about, because I always yak on about it. Never give someone a loaded gun unless you know exactly where they're going to point it. I've
seen that episode.
You're getting caught up then. Well done. Yeah. Only another 6 series to go, love. Sorry. But I mean, in reference to that program, it was made in the 1990s. For anybody who doesn't know what I'm talking about, it's Babylon 5. It was made in the 1990s. It was a science fiction show. And science fiction has always been extremely homophobic, historically, certainly shying away from it at the lower limit. And certainly in the 90s, it wasn't the world that we live in now. They were a whole mess of society anyway up there in that space station. The captain of the station was getting it on with an alien ambassador who had actually taken a genetic transition herself to become half human, half Limbari. I wish it was as easy as that. Hey, good man.
Go on, James.
The security chief was an alcoholic. The doctor was a drug addict. And the deputy, she fell in love with a woman. And the way that story was handled beautifully. It wasn't let's make a big thing of it, because we don't want that. I have to confess, I was eavesdropping on my way home, listening to you on the radio of the car, tuned in. I just want to live the life I want to live in peace and happiness. I don't want to make a big thing of it. I just want to happen to be who I am. And that's all anybody in this all-inclusive community wants.
Yeah.
And
I agree. Absolutely agree.
God doesn't make mistakes, and that's how you're meant to be. Helen's Helen, because that's what she's... Bravissimo.
Hello.
My namesake, hello, darling. And one of the scenes that really, because it was a bit ambiguous with the whole Ivanova and the telepath that got the boot. But they did it again, and once again, really, really subtly and just matter-of-factly. Two of the characters were going to another planet. They were in hiding, and they had to be given fake identities. And we know from what we'd seen of the Doctor's interactions, he was straight, and we know from the other guy that was with him. Thank you, James. Talia Winters. Her name escapes me. I'm in Lita mode at the moment because I'm rewatching The Gathering. Yeah, Marcus, he was definitely straight because he loved the pants off of Susan, who unfortunately loved the pants off of Talia. Took about triangles in his face. But their secret identity, their hidden identity, their disguise was he come up to him and he says, "Here's your identity cards. You're a lovely couple, just married and on your honeymoon." And oh, lovely. Well, you know, me and your mother, we've always been worried about what you're up to. And it was matter of fact. And that's the world I want to live in.
Yeah.
And anyone who has suffered for who they are or what they believe feels the same way.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking people's fears or concerns. I am just saying those fears and concerns are inflamed in the same way they were earlier last century. When gay people were completely responsible for AIDS epidemic. Well, you know, hello, no. We know that now. People have grown and learned and understood. But we gay people were seen as predators. And I think, you know, jumping from science fiction into a slightly more real world show that I would like to quote to, you know, point that out, is The West Wing. They were having a conversation about the gays in the military. And the character who played the chief of staff of the military, he was a black male who, you know, had lived through some really tough times as part of his generation. And so he walked in and they, oh, I love you too, Mum. He walked in and he said, "So what are we talking about?" And they said, "We're talking about gays in the military." And he said, "So what do you boys think about it?" And it will disrupt the squad. And they said, "So, you know, Admiral, what do you think?" And he said, "Yes, you're right. It will disrupt the squad." He said, "But you know what? They'll get over it." All the years ago, when I first joined the military, they said black people in the military would disrupt the squad. It did. They got over it. They moved on. And now I'm in charge of the military and I'm an admiral. So stick that in your pipe and smoke it. And I think that's the kind of lesson that we need to learn as people, as individuals, as groups. And, you know, I've been, you know, I don't want to hijack everything and just make it all about my faith and my religion, but I've been doing a lot of research over the last few weeks, and I found some very interesting stuff about the tenets and principles of spiritualism. And I just want to share the spiritual laws, just one of them, because there's 10 and that would go on forever and that'd be pointless, but the very last one, which I have slightly updated in language because it was all these and thous and deemest not thou thy and what have you, and frankly I can't be doing that and people switch off internally and physically, especially when you're online. But this one is really quite special, and you know, I try to live my life by it, and I think the actions that I take reflect that. And it's the first and last duty on earth in this life: seek the path of right, live by it, and whatever creeds, precepts, or examples conflict with it, reject them, put them away from your thoughts, deeds, and actions, but always remember the spiritual laws, creeds, and ways of living. And frankly, the last one of the spiritual codes of conduct, which were called the laws, says it all. Manifest love above and beyond all things. Cultivate it in all we know amongst all humanity, that true and tender love which can think, speak, and act no wrong to any living thing, always remembering that where love exists, all other principles of right are fulfilled by its influence and embodied within it. I live by those. And I just think it really matters that anyone who wants to call themselves spiritual should really understand and know them. And so therefore to say things that may be deemed as hateful is not expressing of love. In actual fact, deeming things deemed as hateful should be remained, away from the conversation, is another one of those spiritual laws. Because we have to respect each other. In order to do that, we have to respect the thoughts and the feelings of those around us. I'm sure that there may be some people who watch me and thee doing what we do outside of the Rainbow Project will be aware that I've made a few transitions of my own over the last few days, and I do what I do because I believe that I must be there for everyone, and in order to do that, sometimes you need to take a different path. All I will say is that from now until the end of time, I usually say that all of my meetings end with tea, and they really do. So I want to. There has been a few comments and things from people from the Rainbow Project Rotherham. I just want to say thank you for all of your support. By the way, actually, one of the reasons why I wanted to come on tonight.
Yeah.
If
You put your head above the parapet for us, Nick, and that's what we respect you for. That our community came under attack, and you stood up and you went, "No, I'm not standing by and just letting this happen." And you went above and beyond to show our community.
But no, Claire, that's the first time I'm going to disagree with you in 48 hours. I did not go above and beyond.
No, you did.
I did what had to be done. That's not going above and beyond. That's doing what's right. I am just one person, and I am just an individual with a thought, with a feeling, and with a hope. And my job is to carry that thought, that feeling, and that hope to everyone who needs to hear it. And so it's very kind of you to say that I went above and beyond. I didn't. I did what I felt was right, and I will always do that.
Yeah, you showed what a true leader of love, respect, and kindness is, because you are leading by example, well and truly, where others failed. So yeah, you did go above and beyond for us, because a lot of people did fail us.
But it's one of the reasons I've taken a different path as well, because when I say my services are open to everybody, I want to truly mean it. Truly mean it. And there we go. Anyway, that I shall step off that particular soapbox for tonight. But yes, and it is heartwarming that so many people did put their hands up and say, fabulous. It's
just to get off the spiritual for a moment and back into the physical, because one of the principles is moderation in all things, including the spiritual. In my other job, all of us were invited to send videos and details a couple of prides ago. I think it probably 20. To be honest with you, the years have just passed so weirdly and so quickly, I can't truly remember. I think it was 20. But we were invited to share our story as members of the LGBTQI plus community. And I did. I'll get on my blooming soapbox. Yeah, you know me. Can't shut me up. Don't give me the microphone, otherwise I'll eat it. I've got one here that it's broken because I've worn it out. But I was invited to share. You up there, you behave yourself. I was talking about my voice, you bitch. See, I can say that now as well. But no,
It's like Reverend Nick Unleashed.
It is. It is.
I've had my super juice injection. No, that's not what I meant either. But no, in all seriousness, I gave in my my chats and my speaking, and I did reference obviously what I did outside of work, but I spent most of my time talking about what everything meant to me. And one of the things that I said was, tolerance is better, but we can't rest on our laurels, because tolerance doesn't always mean acceptance.
No.
And to tolerate something means that you're putting up with something, where acceptance means you are understanding of that situation. In actual fact, it's highly ironic that we were talking about acceptance on Friday, Tony, and I didn't even remember that bit. But I did. They selected what I said and they used it as a bookends. So I introduced the video and I closed the video. And in the middle was this story about a colleague within that company who was called Paul, fake name because he required an anonymity at the time, and he was transgender, and it was still secret, and he was still living a horrific life of silence and fear. So how could he be, anything other than a person with a gentle, kind heart? Couldn't. And he wanted to be she. So from this point, I will say, did you not know it was me talking on it, love?
I saw it. And it's just when you said Paul, I remembered, because I actually sat and cried.
Yeah.
I sat and cried watching it.
When they made it, I didn't know what it was going to be about, other than that they were going to include some of me. So I thought there might be a montage of various members of staff on it. But no, it was just us two in it. And I was so honoured and touched and humbled to be a part of the journey that she was making. Because I got to open up with what I wanted to say and close with what I wanted to say, but it had no real bearing on me anymore. It was a poignant, and those words were used to underpin Paul's message. And whatever, I did consider reaching out, but through anonymity and everything, I never actually did know who that was. But whoever she is, I am proud to have been part of her journey of truth. And I have to admit, whenever somebody does something else, I'm used to seeing myself on a screen now, and it bores the hell out of me. But, when somebody else does something, it's all exciting. Want to have a look. And it's like, oh, it's me. Look. Oh, look, that's me brushing my hair and pretending as though someone's behind me, but it's my phone propped up behind me. Oh, listen, they used that bit that I said. And then it went into the next bit. And I'm like, and it really, really dropped my ass right to the ground. Really, really did. Because as much as I had never really talked about such things as trans rights before, I hadn't really been in an area in my life or around people that could help me to be aware of what kind of different struggles that their lives have versus mine. And it is to when we as the LGBTQI plus community were all united in being rubbished by everyone, we were all together. But to be a trans person looking at how far LGB rights have come and to feel left behind, that has got to be even more heartbreaking.
It
And
has, and you know what is when you think to yourself, well, actually, those tea peoples were there right at the beginning, fighting alongside the LGB
Mm.
community for equality, and yet some sections of the community have gone so far in advance that it's fantastic, it's great, that's where we should be.
Yeah,
But
but that's where
what about
everybody
us?
should be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. What about us? We're still, every day you're fighting against a society that doesn't accept you.
yeah,
Yeah.
and to have people that you would hope to consider allies to actually have said, "Oh, just hold my coat while I make this fight for you," and then 10 years later you bump into each other in the street and say, "Do you want your coat back yet? You what's it?" It's just
And
awful, and I'm very
yeah,
much leave no one behind.
No.
and those that you thought was allies will actually turn out, well, actually, maybe they're not quite so much of an ally that you thought they were.
Mm. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, Nicola. Some are also forgetting that the T did fight alongside the LGB. Yeah,
Yeah.
and let's not.
Everybody remembers Stonewall, but it actually goes much further back than that, to
Yeah.
the Cooper Donuts riots, even, 10 years previous. And if you look at the history, the trans community has been right there at the forefront of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's just sad. It really is sad. Um, but yeah.
Maybe we need to be at the forefront again.
Oh, I spoke too soon
It's
about Sam.
yeah.
It's Sam.
Sam,
Can you hear that
Sam
low rumble
agrees.
every now and again?
Yep.
It's Claire's beagle, Sam.
Snoring. He's very
He,
quiet though at the minute.
he
He's
is
very
actually, yeah. It's just a low rumble in
yeah.
my earpieces, but yeah, wow.
You're absolutely right on everything you said, and what I'd like to kind of add in actual fact, in reference to something completely different, but the principle applies. Yeah, I've been doing what I do outside of my normal working life for 40 years now. I remember my first ever experience at 4 years old, talking to my grandmother in the living room, who actually died 6 months before I was born. I've been teaching and working as a spiritualist for 24 years now, and I've been an ordained minister for almost 10. Every single day is a day where we can learn to do something better, to understand a principle or concept better. And no matter what experience, no matter what understanding you have, it's never too late to change that understanding based on new experiences. I was talking to Claire about certain terminologies to be used. I was talking to Tony and Michael about certain terminologies to be used in certain quarters of life. And I was absolutely adamant that, I wanted to go a completely different way, and, we should do this, and we should do that, and we should do the other. And Tony and Michael say, well, realistically, we should stick with something that people know. We should do this, we should do that. But I was still blinkered to wanting to avoid being seen as something that I didn't feel I was. And then this quiet little voice just said, "Ask Claire." Because their argument, Tony's and Michael's arguments were very, very valid, but they weren't sinking in. And I asked Claire, "What do you think?" And she made a comment that just...
It did.
That's what I needed to hear. That is what I needed to hear. And so, as much as I was stuck in this rut of wanting to go down one route, I was pulled by a really, really simple yet wonderfully sensible argument. And it wasn't even, and it wasn't even an argument. It was just well, you do know what that sounds like. It sounds like this, and it's like, this is my point. in order to progress, in order to grow forward, we must continue to just simply speak our truths, be as simple and to the point as possible, be respectful of each other's boundaries and borders, which is irrelevant of sexual orientation, gender, even the fact that we have blood pumping through our veins. That's all irrelevant. The physical is completely irrelevant, because what matters is the heart. What is important is the heart. And if one heart aches, we failed as human beings and kin of the human family. But always be ready to hear that one tiny voice that will make you sit there and say, oh, yeah. And
It's
I
just
think
about
that
being true to yourself.
yes,
Yeah,
it is, but it's also about letting other people know in the world that no matter what they say or do, you will be true to yourself. But also, as you share your truths and be honest about it, you will bring people with you. You will bring people with you every single day. And it will be
there's
people that
also
you don't even expect.
Yeah.
there's just those people that are afraid to be true to themselves. You know, IEs they've not come out yet, whether that be as LGBTQI, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Oh, did I hear of
Because
penguins earlier as well?
Yeah, you did.
yeah, penguins.
Yeah. You know, and I have to admit,
Well,
I don't very often agree with a certain journalist very often, but the defence he made of a woman who had transitioned on his program changed my view about him for about 10 minutes. Then I started hating him again for other reasons. But it was wonderful to see that someone you would expect as a typical old-fashioned bruiser was actually open to someone else's truth. And I just don't get how people can be so cruel. But the more we keep speaking our truths in a firm but gentle way, the more people will start listening. We've seen it.
Yeah,
We have seen it, but we
have.
need to see more of it.
And
yeah.
Helen and Claire will know what I'm going to say. We've had fights recently as the Rainbow Project Rotherham, where I'm not going to say with who, but it's a well, no, I don't mind as long as you sit in your rooms and shut your door and you do what you do, and please don't put all this stuff out because and we've just gone no. It took me 30 years to come out of the closet. I'm not going back in there for nobody, darling. And
The
no,
world is a much brighter place outside of the closet than in it.
it
It
is.
certainly is.
It is. And you get a better view on 6-inch stilettos as well, let me tell
And,
you.
and look how much more of an interesting life Harry Potter did once he left the closet.
Well, yeah, but unfortunately, yeah, look at his mother. But yeah, anyway, there we are. That's that one. But yeah, it's we are going to be out there and shining our rainbow flags and lesbian flags and bisexual
Well,
flags and trans flags everywhere.
all the colours of the rainbow will be
Yeah,
displayed.
they will.
Yep.
They will. And long live it as well, because it's wonderful.
Now, my mother is. I'm sure my mother's probably still watching, waiting to see if she needs to tell me off for swearing later. But she's not going to know about what I'm about to say, and it will shock her.
Okay.
Because I'm going to reference a conversation with my granddad, whom she always told me that I should be very careful what I say in front of him regarding everything that I do. He once sat me down and said, you know what, Nick? The only thing that really matters as far as a label is concerned is the word human being. Everything else is negotiable and a matter of conscience. And I loved what he said, and it was so progressive, you know, for someone who was born in the early decades of the 1900s to have lived his life and to turn around and say to me, you know, all that matters is you're a human being. Everything else is negotiable. I think that's the message that people need to remember. So listen to Bill. You know, because all that matters is that we are human beings being kind to each other, and everything else is between us and us, and is negotiable, is negotiable, and provable by science. So did I say that out loud?
Did you, Nick? Did it just tumble there?
Just
Miles,
call out mouth
exactly.
again.
That's my point, Miles. It's if you are happy and you're hurting no one.
Yeah.
If you're
Let it
hurting
be.
someone else, it's a completely different matter and has got nothing to do with.
Oh, I must just qualify that, Nick.
Well,
If you're hurting someone else and they haven't consented,
you're talking about those
But,
handcuffs I bought again the other day, aren't you?
maybe not. I was talking about somebody upstairs that might want releasing in about half an hour, but there you go, before husband gets in.
Oh, I'll tell it later, mother, don't worry.
But yeah, it is. It's a case of, and yeah, you finished talking about it now, but I'm going to start. But as
Oh,
a trustee
Jean,
of the Rainbow Project, oh, Jean, that is so sweet. As trustees of the Rainbow Project and as a minister, that's my job, is to help somebody to be the best them they can be. And that's the only qualification I'll put on that. You hurt nobody, that doesn't consent to be hurt, and you make yourself happy. That's it. That's it. That's all I want.
that's all. I think that's all
anybody.
any of us want is for
Yeah.
people to be true to themselves and be their authentic self.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And yeah, it's
Warts, chains, and all.
exactly.
Exactly.
It. Oh, don't start you.
This is but a shell. It's the spirit inside that counts.
Oh, Helen.
Helen, my love. Oh,
definitely. Yeah.
She's listened to one of my services.
Well, no, I well, kind of,
Yeah.
but yeah.
But it is. We are, whether you
Yeah,
believe
but a
in,
vessel.
if you
oh,
believe
that's
in
the word.
what Nick and I believe outside of the Rainbow Project and LGBTQ plus community or not, you are on planet Earth for that amount of time. Don't spend it being miserable, worrying about what somebody else may or may not have in their underwear and who they're going to be.
Unless you're
So-
planning to take that underwear off, of course.
Exactly. But somebody once said to Michael, not that long ago, no, but you do know what two men and two women do in bed is abhorrent. And I thought, darling, I'm not asking you to pull up a chair at the bottom of the bed, sweetheart.
Yes.
You know,
Rather off-putting.
why does it bother you what two people do in the moment of love? It's irrelevant. Or lust. Or whatever. Stop
Yeah.
worrying about what everybody else is doing and worry about what you're doing and what footprints you're leaving on the face of this earth. Because that's what's going to count. What's going to count at the end of the day is when you get to where you are going and you have your life laid out before you, don't think, oh shit.
Yeah.
Think, look what I did. Look
Did
what
my
I did.
best. If you can say you've done your best, and that's the same with everything in any
Exactly.
If you can look back on your
tried.
day and say you've done your best, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
I think I think I've spent 33 years trying to be pretend I'm something I'm not,
Yeah.
Here.
and and it made me very, very unhappy.
Yeah.
And since I accepted myself, and I did have to accept myself, and actually come out and got on with life, I am infinitely more happy now than I was back then. And Nicola,
Well
his
said.
sister, will say, back then I could have gone either way.
Mm-hmm.
We could have been talking, but it had been through the spirits.
Yep.
Mm.
Nick said that to me before. She said, I was worried at one point that my sister was going to be talking to me through you.
Mm.
And that's not nice. And I
It's
mean,
not.
on my part, I was 30 when I came out, but the blessing I take from my time living my other life was we've got Ben. And that is something I can never regret ever is our son. And yeah, but it's like I say, I just it floors me that people can get so wrapped up about what other people are doing, and oh God heavens, to Betsy. Yeah, yeah, bravo,
Mm.
and bravo Helen for having.
Yes.
Well, bravo Helen and Nick for turning your experience into the Rainbow Project, because
Yes.
we have helped so many people because you set this group up all those years ago, and
Yeah,
we are now going from strength to strength, and it's wonderful,
we are.
absolutely
We are.
wonderful.
It's so nice to see, and so rewarding to see just how far the
Yeah.
Rainbow Project has come from its very, very humble beginnings.
Mm,
Even before it was called the Rainbow Project, there were different things before the Rainbow Project. Um,
yeah.
and
It's
from the very early beginnings, it has come a long, long way, and long may it continue.
yes, yes, but
Um,
I always say, as with all charities, it would be wonderful if we didn't need to exist.
Yep. Oh, it would be
Yeah,
But
amazing. If we got to that
yeah,
point, we've hit success completely.
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think that should be every charity's aim, is to not exist.
it's got to be.
Yeah.
It's got
and
to
at
be.
that point, you can then do what you have been fighting for everyone else to be able to do, and that's just go and live your life in peace as the person you are, without fear. And
Yes.
the world is a rich tapestry with many different voices, and I truly believe the sentiment that each voice enriches us and
Yeah.
each voice
It-
lost diminishes us. And if your work has stopped even one, what did I see, Nick, every time I went to see Granddad? Nick, yes, yeah, yeah. Every time every time she went to see Granddad, there was always a rainbow there.
Oh, bless.
It was wonderful, and she's so open to what we do now. But she's always been fine with my sexual orientation. Fear about how my life would go, but to be honest with you, her and Dad, they spent more time talking to Nigel when we used to go around than they did to me. It was like, ooh, a voice that we don't have to turn the volume down on. But but we are all part of that chorus. Oh, hello, Karen. I've got your message, but I haven't read it yet because I'm here. But yeah, I mean, if your work has prevented even one voice from being lost from the choir of humanity, you've done your job. And I know you've done more than that. I know you've done more than that. But if you've just stopped one voice from being removed from that choir, then you have done more than a good day's work. and you should
Thank
be
you.
proud of yourselves.
Yeah,
I will
I think
forever stand here and fight by your side.
Thank
Amen.
you.
I think
And you're
for
always
me,
welcome. Always welcome.
the Rainbow Project has given me so many good friends.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what I love, Helen, is the fact that I'm looking at the screen, the comments at the side of my screen here, and it's hard to tell whether I'm on a Rainbow Project feed or one of my feeds because they've seemed to have blurred together.
Yeah.
And it's the same when I watch himself on a Thursday. It's like, oh, is it should I be speaking or is it Nick that's speaking? Because we have such a crossover of people
Yes.
now. It's wonderful,
Mm.
absolutely wonderful. And yeah, it's fabulous. And
Yeah.
I
And
sort of
everybody
think
is welcome at the Rainbow Project. Everybody is welcome.
they
Yeah.
are, they are. And I mean, Jean comes, and Jean's been married since God was a lad, and and Irene comes along, and everybody, and it's lovely. It really is, because if somebody's prepared to walk in, then they're an ally. And,
Yeah.
what difference does it make? And it's by exposing people to.
I don't think we have a criteria, do we? When did we
No,
start
we
having
don't.
criteria? When did
No,
we start
exactly.
checking people in, saying, "What are you? Let me tick you off on
No,
our
but what I
list. What
mean
are you?"
is, if
Yeah.
if you're
A
not,
working pulse, I think, is the criteria, is it?
it's a
A
pulse, yeah.
pulse. A
Yeah.
pulse.
Pulse.
Yeah.
Where you see,
Yeah.
that's not necessary
Well,
for my other
we
feeds.
say with
But-
us two here, that's not even a criterion either because we bring quite a few of them with us.
Yeah, but it is that thing of what I hope from just my perspective is that people who felt further away from religion or faith or belief or whatever you want to call it, by seeing me and seeing what I do, they might think, oh, I could just bob on and see what's happened and what's that about then, because he sometimes wears a dog collar when I see him about, and vice versa. People on my feed might think, oh, Tony's on. Oh, it's not one of his services. What's this about then? And I hope that's how it works. I hope that's how it works, because by just opening somebody's eyes a little bit and their hearts a little bit, they might find something wonderful. And like I said a few moments ago, that's all I want in life, and that's all Nick wants, and Claire and Helen and Nicola and everybody else.
And you know what? I'm always, because I'm respectful of people's feelings on religion, I'm always worried about going on about it too much. But at the end of the day, that's what I do and it's what I represent. So I will speak more about it than not. But, regardless of people's feelings of the divine, of the afterlife, of organized religion, it's good to be able to turn around and say, look, you might not believe in what I do. That's fine. But please don't feel for any second that there's not something out there. If you do feel and believe and want to have a religion, you are able to have that regardless of who you are inside and out. And one of the reasons I truly believe that one of the reasons that religion is so scorned is because of its exclusionary nature. And so by making sure that people understand that not all walks of doctrine and theology and philosophy are not always that exclusionary, you've then got that option. And to be able to say, you know what, thank you for the offer, but it's not for me, is just as good as being able to say, I thought you were going to say I'm going to burn in hell.
Yeah, I think I've got a very mixed views on religion. I've no time for those religions that use their religion as a way of beating other people over the head.
Me either.
No.
No
No.
time for it.
Okay. No.
Go and do whatever you want to do. Don't involve me.
Mm-hmm.
Those
Absolutely.
people that have got faith, and some people have a faith. Great, get on with it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And this is it. And to be able to say, that, I think is wonderful, because we live in a wonderful, free, allegedly, society, that we can actually say that. And I can sit on here as a minister, because primarily when I pop on, that's when I come on here. I'm aware that so many religions are and have been homophobic, have been predatory, and been horrific, but that doesn't represent the God that I represent as a minister. The God that I represent
Sorry.
is not a creation of thousands of years of human interference and wanting to keep people under the cosh, or anywhere else for that matter. I mean, if you look at any religion, the core purpose should be love one another, be good to one another. Here endeth the sermon. Everything else is just human interference. Everything else is human interference.
Yeah.
And if people wish
So
to
I
be
think-
religious, they should be able to be.
Yeah.
I think some modern day organized religions are using religion as a form of control.
Definitely.
Always.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's always going to happen.
But
Because when people get power, they want to keep power. And they will, use those
Don't want the
teachings.
little people like me thinking for themselves.
No, of course not. But like I said, my love, every single service I do ends with tea. And
I don't want
you are
no tea.
welcome
I'll
to
take some
have
estrogen though.
Rather well said.
I
like
will
that.
see. I will see if I can get it either filtered or unfiltered for you. Would you like it caffeinated or not? Because I'll have to probably pay more for the decaffeinated variety. But no, people just need to be aware that everything they say has an impact on people around them, and I think it's much more important that what you say have a positive impact than a negative one.
Definitely.
Always. Which is why I will try and find the right sort of bags for you, my love.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes.
But if that doesn't work, is vodka all right?
I don't drink, so
Oh,
Juice? Pepsi
Juice
Max,
will
that's
do.
my
Juice.
favourite tipple.
Pepsi.
Oh, I am bring on the Max. I am a Pepsi Max queen. I've already
Pepsi
finished
Cherry Max.
Oh yes. Do you know what? Everyone I work with says that every time they see me pick up a bottle of cherry Pepsi Max, they worry, because that's usually when I'm angry. I don't know why. It's not like there's half a dozen bottles of cherry Pepsi Max embedded in the wall, anymore, because I had to dig them out. But cherry Pepsi Max, my favourite tipple.
That's a lovely quote, Miles.
Yeah.
That is a lovely quote. And yep, do unto others as you would wish to be done unto, and let people be who they want to be or need to be. That's and to quote Nick, here endeth the sermon, because for me that's it. Because
Wow.
that's what our big brother said, didn't he? He said, have these commandments above all others. Love thy neighbour as thyself, and love the Lord God above all others.
Well,
There you
didn't
go.
somebody say that we was all born in the image of God or whatever it is? You'll know better, you people of faith, what the actual saying is.
Yeah.
My view on that, and I think this is an appropriate thing for me to say, is that when we talk about all people's being born in God's image, what they're actually talking about is the genderless soul.
Yes, I was just going to say that it's a spirit.
It's the spirit. Because as I always describe, the universe as a big jigsaw puzzle, and we're little fragments of it trying to figure out our place in it. Sometimes you will have, oh, don't get me started on this one again. Tony, just slap me on the forehead when I get too much. Some pieces will fit together, some pieces will not. Some pieces need another piece in the middle for them to actually be able to be part of the picture. But we're all equally part of that picture. And, you can take that in a theological or a sociological way, because I did do my sociology as well. Although, to be honest with you, the teacher got grumpy with me because I walked into one of my lessons stoned. I didn't know at the time, but I borrowed a rollie off of someone, and it had something a little bit more in it than it should have done. So I was completely unaware. The sociology teacher was, and he laughed his head off because he knew that I wouldn't do that sort of thing because I was a good little boy. And the only reason I was smoking the rollie with him is because I was, hoping that it might go a bit further, but that's another story. Glad it didn't, because I'm happy now. But yeah, we're all part of the big puzzle, be it sociologically or philosophically or religiously. We're all part of the wonderful tapestry of life. And why?
But like any jigsaw, there's always a piece missing.
Yes, there is. But once you fit everything else around it, you'll be able to find it because you know what you're looking for.
Exactly. And I like the way Nick finished that story off at the end of the other night, because he said, and if ever we make one little piece feel like it doesn't fit, we failed. He did say as ministers at the end of that one, but I would say as human beings.
It applies as human beings too, absolutely.
As human beings, if you
in fact, it's probably more important to emphasize as human beings than ministers, because there's more human beings than there are ministers. Even though ministers are mostly human beings.
If by your words or thoughts or actions you make just one person feel like they don't fit in the tapestry of life, you've failed. And at that point, I think I'm going to have to say I love you and leave you, because Madam's now furiously stamping up and down and looking at me like I asked you 20 minutes ago to take me for a wee.
Yeah.
And I'm still waiting.
And Snoopy and Thumper are getting aggressive downstairs as well, because I can hear them.
Can you hear the cage banging?
I've got a cat just at my feet here that's looking about, but I'm going to jump on you in a minute. So.
Nick's got a quote. You know, the canvases you did? Well, I had one done for the Rainbow Project, and she thinks that would make a nice one as well.
Oh, the one about failing?
If you make one tiny little piece of the jigsaw feel like it doesn't fit, you fail.
I will get onto it tonight, because I've done everything else that I need to.
Have you?
I just need to print stuff tomorrow. But I've done everything else I need to today. So I will get onto that. I'll find a wonderful, wonderful picture, and I will superimpose, actually. This is the other stuff I'm not satisfied with, running a church or running a petrol station or gobbling off all night. Although, to be fair, I'm not.
Freudian slip.
I'd never
Nigel,
slip onto Freud. He wasn't my type. Too much facial hair and too many cigars. Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar, but not in this instance. I also like to do digital art. Behave yourself, Tony. But yes, if anyone's interested, I do have a Twitter and a TikTok. No, not TikTok's religion. I have an Instagram for my digital art. I just wish I had those muscles and proportions sometimes as well. But I do a lot of computer work, digital art and stuff, and I do like creating, and it's my therapy. So I'll get a jigsaw puzzle overlay on top of the picture that I choose, and in the bottom corner, I will have one missing as the full stop to
Love
make
that.
the point.
Yes,
Oh,
I love that.
fabulous. Yeah.
And I will make it freely available for anyone who wants to download it, have it as a wallpaper. If I do it in kind of like a portrait and a landscape, people can have it as a wallpaper, as a
Fab.
phone
I love
thing.
that.
Yes.
And it's usually a good enough quality because I like to. I'm a size queen. I like it big, you know. So you can see what the future's like for us now, Tony.
Yeah.
I think my sister Helen quite rightly put it as this is the Reverend Unleashed.
Boom.
So yeah, I do like it big. So it's usually good enough to get a detailed print on a canvas too.
Because we have your quote. We ask not that you move the mountain, just give us the strength to climb. In our rooms at the Rainbow Project, because it fits.
And I will just say on that note, Nicola, darling, I love you, but you're also in big trouble, because when you said what you said and used those words the other night, it reduced me to rubble. But very much thank you, darling.
But it was needed, Nick. It was needed. You needed to hear that.
I did. You know, it's all very well me sitting here spouting out various different things, but sometimes I'm the one who needs to hear it too. And it was very much appreciated, Nicola. So,
well, it can't have been an easy thing to have to go through, but the future is bright.
Be careful. Other mobile phone networks are available.
I wasn't going to say that. I was going to say, and the future is rainbow.
Oh, even better.
Yeah. Oh, Nick, it did. It did.
Yes.
And yes, you do. Bless. But sometime you are going to have to come up here and come to the church at Thurcroft. It's not a church, it's a centre at Thurcroft, and on a Saturday to Rainbow Project.
In the words of an episode that you will watch in a couple of weeks, abso-fraggin-lutely, damn it.
Fraggles are coming back. Did you see today? The Fraggles are coming back.
I have to
Fraggle
admit,
Rock.
Hello,
David.
Yeah, David.
I'm still waiting for the Terrorhawks remake.
Oh yeah, yeah. I remember Terrorhawks.
Boom, boom, boom,
boom, boom. But yes, this dog is now
wetting itself.
Next
Get doggy.
I am sorry. Can you do the credits, Claire, please?
Oh, it's been that while since I've done them. Can I do one?
All right then. Anyway, good night, everybody. Good night. I will find the credits and I will run the credits. Right. Lovely talk. Really enjoyed it. Saturday social. We haven't got a food night next Tuesday. No, it's a Tuesday.
Craft night next Tuesday.
Craft night next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Food night Tuesday after.
Yep.
Good night, everybody. See you soon.
No.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.